Ivy, 1 to 2. I've been with my girlfriend Lena for almost 3 years. And if you asked anyone who knew us, they'd swear we were the couple that just worked. I used to believe that too until that one afternoon when everything cracked open with one sentence, one laugh, and one smirk from the woman who lived next door. It started as casually as any other Thursday. I'd gotten home early from work, hoping to surprise Lena with takeout from her favorite Thai place over on South Congress in Austin. She was out on the porch, leaning against the railing, sunlight catching in her auburn hair. She was already laughing at something one of her friends had texted her. But the moment she saw me, her expression shifted into something playful and sharp. "You know," she said loudly, loud enough that the whole row of townhouses in our Mount Pleasant neighborhood could hear. "I could dump you right now." She laughed, not softly, not gently, but like it was the punchline she'd been waiting all day to deliver. Something tight pulled in my chest. I tried to keep my tone steady. "What's that supposed to mean?" Lena waved her hand dismissively, still smiling. "Relax, Ethan. God, you're so serious." "It was just a joke." Except her eyes said something different, something colder, something testing. She was waiting to see how much dignity I'd sacrifice just to keep things smooth. I didn't respond, partly because the words stuck in my throat, and partly because someone else had just stepped outside. Our neighbor Ava. Ava had lived next door for about a year. She was the kind of woman who didn't try to be beautiful, she just was. Soft blonde curls, warm green eyes, and a quiet presence that made everyone instinctively lower their voice around her. But more than that, she was kind. The type who remembered birthdays, who checked on elderly neighbors during hurricanes, who waved even on the mornings when she clearly hadn't slept well. She paused on her porch holding a stack of mail and lifted her gaze toward us. Her expression shifted the moment she heard what Lena had said. Her brows dipped, then lifted slightly, as if something she had suspected for a long time had finally revealed itself. Then she smirked. Not cruelly, not arrogantly, but knowingly, like she had been waiting for a mask to fall. "Finally," she muttered under her breath, but loud enough for both of us to hear. Lena's face snapped toward her. "Excuse me." Ava didn't back down. She just leaned casually against her doorframe, sunlight haloing around her like she was carved out of some soft, warm morning. "Nothing. Just surprised it took you this long to say something like that out loud." My heartbeat kicked up. Lena's eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" Ava tilted her head slightly, studying her with that same calm expression she always wore when she saw a storm coming. "It means you treat him like he's disposable, and you don't exactly hide it." Lena laughed once, sharp and brittle. "Wow. You think you know anything about our relationship?" Ava didn't answer that question. She simply looked at me. Really looked at me. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like someone saw the exhaustion behind my smile, the way I'd been shrinking myself bit by bit so Lena wouldn't feel threatened or irritated, the way I'd grown quieter, softer, less myself. Ava's eyes held a softness I hadn't felt from Lena in months, maybe longer. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't flirtatious. It was concern. Pure, unfiltered concern. Lena scoffed again, flipping her hair in that dismissive way she did whenever someone challenged her. "You know what, Ethan? If you're going to stand there looking all offended, maybe I should dump you. Might toughen you up." I swallowed hard. "Lena, what's going on with you?" "What's going on with me?" she repeated, incredulous. "You're the one always overreacting." "I didn't even react," I said quietly. "Exactly. You never do. You're boring, predictable, too safe." The words hit harder than I expected. I felt a strange mix of embarrassment and clarity rising inside me, like a fog lifting. Ava let out a slow breath. "He deserves better than being humiliated on his own porch." Lena turned on her. "Stay out of this." Ava didn't blink. "You made it public." My pulse hammered at my temples. The tension between them stretched tight like a wire. And in the middle of it, for the first time in a long while, I wasn't defending Lena. I wasn't smoothing anything over. I was just standing there, finally feeling something I'd avoided for months. Truth. Because the look in Ava's eyes wasn't triumph. It was relief, relief that someone had finally witnessed what she had noticed long ago. And in that moment I had no idea that Ava's finally wasn't about the argument. It was about me, about something she had hoped I would eventually see for myself. Lena stormed back inside the house without another word. The screen door snapped shut hard enough that a few birds scattered from the live oak in our yard. I stood there on the porch, feeling the leftover heat of the argument settling into my skin like dust. Ava remained leaning against her doorframe, eyes steady on me, waiting not for an apology, not for an explanation, but for whether I'd pretend nothing had happened. I exhaled slowly. "I'm sorry you had to hear that." Ava shook her head gently. "Don't apologize for her behavior." I ran a hand through my hair. "She wasn't always like that. People rarely start like that," Ava said softly. "But they grow into who they truly are when they think no one is paying attention." Her words lingered with me. I didn't know how to respond, so I gave her a small nod and went inside. The house felt different, quiet in a way that didn't feel peaceful. The air held tension, thick and sour. Lena was in the kitchen scrolling on her phone. One leg crossed over the other, tapping her foot in irritation. She didn't look up when I entered. "So now you're just going to side with her?" she muttered. "I didn't side with anyone. You made a joke that didn't feel like a joke." She rolled her eyes. "Everything's an emotional crisis with you." That stung, not because it was harsh but because it wasn't true. I was steady. Maybe too steady at times. But crisis? No. I'd spent years being patient, understanding, slow to anger. "Lena," I said slowly, "are you unhappy? Because it feels like you're trying to push me away." She finally looked up, and for a moment her expression softened, just a flicker. Then it hardened again. "I just think you're too easy, too available. You never challenge me. You never make things exciting." I felt something inside me settle. Not break, settle. Like a final puzzle piece clicking into place. "You want excitement?" I repeated quietly. "Yeah," she said, folding her arms. "Is that so wrong?" "Not at all," I said. "But I think you want the kind of excitement that comes from chaos, from conflict, from someone who will fight with you, not for you, someone who matches your volatility." She blinked, taken aback. "Wow. So now you're calling me volatile?" "I'm calling you boring. Seems fair to be honest in return." She opened her mouth to argue again but stopped. She stared at me for several seconds and I could see it. She didn't expect me to stand firm. She didn't expect me to be anything but soft clay she could mold however she liked. And maybe that's why she said what she said next. "Maybe we just don't work anymore," she whispered. I nodded. Maybe. The silence that followed wasn't angry. It wasn't violent or messy. It was clean, precise. A truth that had been waiting patiently for someone to say it. She looked down at her hands. "So what now? You take your space and I'll take mine." She didn't argue. She didn't cry. She didn't reach for me. She just nodded, grabbed her purse and walked toward the door. When it closed behind her, I felt the strangest thing. Not grief, not fear, but a slow spreading relief. I stepped outside to get some air. The sun had dropped lower in the sky, turning everything gold. Ava was still on her porch, sitting now, a cup of tea in her hands. When she saw me, she didn't ask what happened. She didn't pry or pity. She just gave me a soft nod of acknowledgement. I sat on my steps, letting the evening breeze cool my thoughts. After a moment, Ava called across. "You okay?" I hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, I think I've been pretending things were okay for a long time." "That kind of pretending is its own exhaustion," Ava said quietly. I looked up, my eyes meeting hers. "You knew, didn't you?" She gave a small, almost apologetic smile. "I saw things. The way she spoke to you, the way you shrank a little each time." I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. "Why did you say finally earlier?" Ava looked thoughtful for a moment. "Because I've watched you carry a weight that wasn't yours, and I've watched you convince yourself that if you loved her hard enough, she'd love you gently in return. But love doesn't work like that." She paused. "I was relieved that you finally saw it." Something warm and quiet settled in my chest. Not romantic, not longing, just gratitude. Pure, grounding gratitude. "You deserve kindness, Ethan. You deserve someone who doesn't treat you like a placeholder." Her words hit me harder than Lena ever had because they weren't meant to wound. They were meant to free. I didn't know where my life was heading next. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring or how I'd feel when the dust finally settled. But as I sat there in the fading sunlight, breathing easier than I had in months, one thing was clear. Sometimes the moment someone threatens to leave isn't the moment you lose them. It's the moment you finally find yourself.